Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Sports Talk with Austin, your daily dose of sports and entertainment. And today on the show, we're switching up a little bit and talking a little NBA basketball. I know everyone is in football mode with college and NFL coming back, but the NBA season is 1 month away, and it's never too early to start talking about your NBA title contenders and favorites. And that is what we're going to be doing today, discussing my personal top 10 NBA title contenders and favorites for the 2023-2024 season. But before we start, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and do all those wonderful things because we got plenty of great content coming your way all year long. So let's get into it. At number 10, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Now, at number 10, there was a lot of teams that just missed the cut, but I think Dallas at 10, I put them here because they re-signed Kyrie Irving, and plus they got arguably the best player in the world today, Luka Doncic. And, yes, and just with those two players alone, makes them a very formidable opponent in the West for the defending champs and for the Warriors and the Lakers and the Clippers. And I think that when you have Luka and Kyrie, if they could get the tandem going and work together and get on the same page, Dallas is going to be a force in the West for years to come. Now, the biggest key issue for them is, can they get enough bench play to help them out? That's their big key if they want to be, go higher in this title contender list. So I think 10's a good spot for them. Josh Hardy, he was a very good pickup in the draft. Maxi Kleber's coming back. He's really good. He's a really good outside shooter, but they lost Dorian Finney-Smith. Reggie Bullock is no longer there. So they lost some pieces, but they also, when you have Kyrie and Luka, it kind of makes up for it. And as long as they stay healthy, Dallas will be a contender, I think, for years to come, including next year. Now, on to number 9, the New York Knickerbockers, the New York Knicks. Now, they're a team that possesses a lot of potential and a lot of talent, with Tom Thibodeau, who's a hard-nosed, coaches defense, and he has superstars surrounding him, and Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett. You've got Obi Toppin, who was traded away to the Pacers last year. He was a big loss. Derrick Rose no longer there either. He's in Memphis. So a couple key pieces are missing there. But the New York Knicks have shown progression, after being bad for so long. And now they've turned the corner and become really good and legitimate threats in the East. And I think, for me, personally, they're ready to take that next step and contend for a championship, especially when you got Jalen Brunson, who is a really, really good point guard, can take over a game, has that ability. Julius Randle, one most approved a couple years ago. R.J. Barrett, can he take the next step? The Knicks have a tremendous bench. I think they could contend in a very, very strong Eastern Conference. And plus, last year, they gave Miami everything that they had and almost won. Now, do I think that in a series, could they? The big question for the Knicks is how much their inexperience is going to come into play, correct? Absolutely, because that they haven't been in these big series like the Milwaukees and the Denvers of the world. So, especially the Celtics of the East. So it's going to be very interesting to find out how good they actually are going to be. But for right now, I have the New York Knicks at number 9. I think they have a lot of talent, and they have a great coach, and they have a great bench to go along with it. I think the Knicks are going to be a big problem in the East this year. I think they can make a potential run out of the Eastern Conference, and I think the Knicks could very well easily win the East over several other teams. Now, another team out of the East who made the finals at number 8, the Miami Heat. Now, you may be saying, how are the Miami Heat considered a top 10 favorite? Because they lost Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, you know, and Kevin Love is not getting any younger. Jimmy Butler, Bam, Hero hasn't been healthy in a while. Oladipo, he was a big part of it as well. He got traded to OKC. I give you all that. But you also have to remember, though, Miami is a gritty, tough team. No matter who they play, they always seem to surprise. And that's one thing about Coach Eric Spoelstra that you have to realize is he is a very good head coach. He can get it done at any level. And I think when you have Jimmy Butler and Bam and Tyler Hero, if he could stay healthy, plus the supporting cast of Caleb Martin, Nikola Djokovic, not Nikola Jokic, the Joker, Nikola Djokovic. A lot of praise has been put around him. Miami is still a loaded roster. Yes, they have been diluted somewhat, but they're still a team, I think, that because they went to the finals last year, and yes, the two losses of Gabe Vincent, Matt Strus to the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Lakers are big hits, absolutely. But like I said, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, if they can shore up the which knowing Miami and Pat Riley, they'll try to make the trade for Damian Lillard to get more star power. I think Miami, last year they did make it to the finals, like I said. So therefore, you automatically have to assume that they're going to be right back in the hunt again. Now, a team that has been in the conversation for a while at number 7, the Los Angeles Clippers. Their biggest question is, can Kawhi and PG stay healthy? Because yes, they have a great bench group. They added Aaron Gordon. They added, they got Trey Mann. They got all these great bench pieces. Amir Coffey. But the big thing with the Clippers is if Kawhi and PG stay healthy, they're arguably the favorites to come out of the West every year. But the problem is their bench is not what it used to be, and plus, Kawhi and PG don't seem to stay healthy. All this load management that's in the NBA today kind of dilutes the Clippers. Tyronn Lue, he took them to the Western Conference Finals in 2021 when Kawhi tore his ACL in round 2 against Utah, and PG, he showed up in that series, but then there was also times where you're like, what was PG doing out here? That's why it's a little concerning for the Clippers for me, is because you don't know what Clippers team you're going to get that week or night, or you just don't know. But with the roster additions that they have every making of a championship team, caliber team. I think Nicholas Batum staying around, Aaron Gordon, he obviously is a big part of this. I think the Clippers, as long as PG and Kawhi stay healthy, they should be one of the favorites to come out of the West. Now, speaking of favorites, number 6, the Phoenix Suns, who built a superstar team comprised of Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant was part of a big blockbuster trade that took Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and those guys to Brooklyn, where they are now with Jacque Vaughn and the Nets building something new over there. Now, what worries me about Phoenix is they traded a lot of what they had. They traded Chris Paul to get Bradley Beal, but you look at it, their bench. That's what worries me a little bit. You can have all this great superstar potential and talent, but when you have a bench like Phoenix's, yes, they've made upgrades to it, of course, with Shaman and a bunch of their supporting cast. But the problem was last year wasn't the fact that, Chris Paul got injured and that's what caused the Suns. No. It was the fact of they didn't have a bench. If Phoenix, gets a bench, they'll be fine. And also the fact that DeAndre Ayton, who's the biggest key in this entire situation, just for the fact of it seems like he doesn't give 100% of his effort a lot of times either. You look at the Phoenix's starting five, right? You're going to have Booker, Durant, Beal, Ayton, and then throw in there, maybe Shamit, right? And you say, yeah, that's a championship starting five. But the problem with that is who's coming off the bench, who's going to provide, and that's why I put Phoenix at 6 because with all the talent they have, this is a championship team just off their starting five. But somebody somewhere, I don't know if they're going to have to flip flop throughout, maybe bring Bradley Beal off the bench to help keep the bench, in good shape, or maybe put Ayton on the bench, you know, because that's the biggest key for Phoenix. If they get a bench, they're arguably the favorites in the West, just like the Clippers. They have kind of the same problem. Clippers, it's the health and of Kawhi and PG, and their bench is not what it was in 2018-19. Suns, same thing. It's good that you got Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant to help Devin Booker, but it's also one of those you also need a bench for it. Now, another interesting team out of the West, number 5, the Golden State Warriors. Now, they're the team who acquired Chris Paul in the trade with Washington. After he was traded to Washington, the Wizards happily granted his wish to Golden State, and Golden State gave up Jordan Poole. Now, big key note here is the Golden State Warriors did re-sign Draymond Green. Klay Thompson is coming back, Steph Curry, they're all good. And plus you add CP3 in the mix now. Obviously we know the big three, they know each other very well. Kevon Looney is an absolute beast on the boards. But it all comes down to, can Chris Paul stay healthy? Golden State is going to lose some shooting with Jordan Poole. They're going to lose some shooting in some veteran leadership because Andre Iguodala retired. So Golden State has got some things to work out. They're a little older and they're a little wiser, yes, but and the older you get, sometimes that can hurt you compared to these younger teams. Like the Sacramento Kings, who a lot of people are believing that will take the next step, because they took this team, Golden State, to 7 games. But to the original point, is I think Golden State, with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, I think they're still a championship contender, regardless of who's there and who's not there. Once again, health is a big key with them as well. Klay, tore his ACL, his Achilles. Curry with his hand, and Draymond has been the healthiest of the three, obviously. But Draymond, sets up Curry and Klay so beautifully, and it spreads the defenses out. They got to do the box and ones with Steph, and then it opens up other shooters, which Golden State might lack a little bit this year with Jordan Poole gone and Damian Lee, who was gone in Phoenix last year. And who's back with Phoenix this year. So Golden State needs to find a little more outside shooting. Steph and Klay are amazing, fantastic, 2 of the greatest shooters ever. But when teams go to the box and ones and they box out on Curry and they box out on Looney and Green and they're daring Draymond to take threes, he's got to knock them down or else it does no good at the end. But I think Golden State is still a championship team just for the fact of Steve Kerr has that pedigree. Steph Curry is a winner. Klay Thompson, Draymond are all winners. And Chris Paul, for as much as people give him flack of not being a big game performer, he did take Phoenix to the 2021 NBA Finals along with Devin Booker. He just fell a little short in the finals. Now that he has a better support cast around him and Steph Curry and Klay and Draymond, and Looney, who's a beast, I think Golden State, this could be their year to reclaim the throne. Now, number 4, obviously, no shock, the Los Angeles Lakers. And the reason is, well, simply for 2 people. Number 1, the king, the GOAT, arguably the GOAT, LeBron. They're always going to be contenders as long as he's there, right? Well, and plus, if Anthony Davis, if he could stay healthy, sky's the limits for the Lakers. I think they could come out of the West. They could even win the whole thing. Plus, with the additions of Gabe Vincent, you know, Vincent now shores up the point guard position more, so LeBron can play a little more small forward shooting guard. Lakers got him a better bench. D'Angelo Russell is coming back now. Russell could play more shooting guard, or him and LeBron could switch now. But Gabe Vincent, that was a great signing because now he shores up point guard, obviously. So D'Lo could play more too, which he likes better. LeBron could go back to his original position. AD, wants to play more power forward. And when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's one of the three best, arguably the best player in all of basketball, but he hasn't been healthy. And LeBron's had to do it all on his own. Rui Hachimura, he's another great addition to the team. Traded from Washington last year. He was a big part. Austin Reeves, obviously, he's going to be another big addition. The Lakers have got full of talent. It's the potential and how they use it. Now, the question is, who's coming off the bench and who's starting? Obviously, LeBron, AD are going to be your starters. Do you keep Reeves as the starter and bring Vincent in off the bench? Is D'Lo your starter? It's all very interesting questions that they got to get figured out before the season. But the Lakers at number 4, I think, LeBron, as long as LeBron stays healthy, the Lakers are arguably the favorites, to come out of the West as well. Even to win the whole thing, because you see what they did last year. They beat the young Grizzlies with the roster that they constructed together, and it doesn't help that Dylan Brooks, started something and ignited something in LeBron that we hadn't seen in a while. Then they beat Golden State, who was the defending champs, which Golden State, the way their mentality is, if the threes aren't going down, it sometimes is a struggle for them. But I think for the Lakers, now that they're even better, I think they have even a better chance. Now, coming in at number 3, the Boston Celtics. Now, this is very interesting because Jaylen Brown got a big, huge contract in the offseason. Obviously, the big question is Brown and Tatum the duo? Are they going to be the duo that gets the title back in Boston that raises banner 18? Well, they're going to have to do it without Marcus Smart, who was traded to the Memphis Grizzlies for Tyus Jones and company. I think Boston, they're still a team that I think, with the addition of Kristaps Porzingis, of course, he was traded from Washington. They lost Grant Williams, who is the heart and soul. Him and Marcus Smart were the heart and soul of the defenses. But Boston, once again, with Al Horford, Kristaps, Tatum, Brown, and Jones, reloaded. And Kristaps brings a different flavor to the team. He's going to spread the defense out a little bit more. I think, him being able to shoot the three, take you off the dribble, I think that's going to help tremendously in the terms of fact of, now we have to guard out, as where Grant Williams was make or miss Porzingis. When he's on, he's on. And I think he's going to be a big key in the success. Robert Williams, Horford, lockdown defenders. You saw what they did in the series against Miami. After the first 3 games, they started clamping in more. Derek White, who's an assassin on the court, had that game-winning tip in. He gets hot from 3. I think Boston, they've reloaded their roster. Yes, they've lost 2 key pieces, but they regained a lot in return. I think the Celtics, if Tatum and Brown is the duo that Boston is hoping they will be, then obviously this is the year to get it done in the East. Because Jaylen Brown just got that big max contract. So let's see. Can Jaylen Brown show up when it counts? We'll have to see. Now, on to number 2. The Milwaukee Bucks. Who won the whole thing in 21. Then last year lost to the Heat in the first round. After getting 4-1. Jimmy Butler had those incredible games, and many people were questioning should the Bucks break up Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis, but they've decided they're going to run it back. And I think is a great decision because Milwaukee has arguably the deepest bench in the NBA and arguably the best three players on the court at all given times, especially Giannis, who's a given MVP in a year. Chris Middleton, who's an absolutely lethal striker from mid-range. Drew Holiday, arguably one of the best defenders of all time. Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez. Milwaukee's got everything that they need. It's just the thing that hurts Milwaukee is when teams create the wall against Giannis and he passes the ball out, people need to knock down shots more. And Giannis, yes, can win a game by himself, but when teams go box and one or give him the wall more like it, is when things start to crumble down. In the Miami series, Milwaukee was up 20 plus, and then they threw the wall in, and then no one could hit shots. Jimmy Butler went off for an incredible 40-point quarter, finished with 56 that game, and all fell apart for the Bucks. And now you're looking at it as, okay, how do we fix this? How do we get this right? Well, what do we do here? Now, they kept everybody together. Grayson Allen's back. Bobby Portis. He's got a year left on his contract. I think the Bucks, if they don't get it done this year, the window could be closing quickly. That's how quick the window does close because Giannis's contract's coming up next year. Drew Holiday's, who just re-signed an extension. Middleton, they're locked in. But Giannis, arguably the best player in the world today, without him, the Bucks would be nowhere where they're at. And they would be number 2 in my conversation for title favorites for the 2023-24 season. But I feel like Giannis, he wants to see that Milwaukee wants to contend for years to come. Well, if they win it all this year, which I believe right now, behind only one other team, which I'll get to in just a second, Milwaukee more likely will come out of the East again. Now, coming in at number 1, to no shock, the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA World Heavyweight Champions, the Denver Nuggets. Arguably, the guy who got robbed at MVP this past year to Joel Embiid, and that was Nikola Jokic, the Joker. In my opinion, the best player on the planet right now. Paired with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Obviously KCP, MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., and that bad man Jamal Murray, who's, may I remind everybody, coming off an ACL injury, and they always say your first year you're not quite you. Well, second year they always say is better, and Jamal Murray was fantastic in the playoffs, especially in the finals. But Denver, like everyone else on this list, does have issues as well. Not as many, but they do. They lost a couple key pieces. Jeff Green went to Houston. Bruce Brown signed a big deal in Indiana. But Christian Braun, who was drafted, last year, he came in and filled a nice role with Brucey B and Jeff Green on that championship roster. Now he's going to be asked to take in a bigger step. Jalen Pickett out of Penn State. Let's see what he can do as he's going to step up in that role more. I think Denver, they always say it's hard to keep a championship team together, which I agree, and which it shows right there. Money talks. Because Jeff Green and Bruce Brown, after they got their ring and title, they left, but Michael Malone didn't waste any time. He made sure to draft some good replacements and Pickett and Braun, who they knew who would fill those roles because they knew those guys wouldn't stick around. And KCP, though, is back. MPJ is more than likely going to be back, obviously, because he's got a big contract year coming up, I do believe. And, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, the best duo in the NBA today currently. I think, and with the head coach of the pedigree of Michael Malone, I think the Nuggets are your favorites and favorites to repeat as champs. And I think there's a lot of teams that are going to try to knock them off the mountain. But for right now, Denver's on top of that mountain, and I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. Now, teams that just missed the cut: the Sacramento Kings, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Memphis Grizzlies, to name a few, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the OKC Thunder were the few teams that missed the cut. I felt like those teams were right there on the cusp, or they have too much, you know, things to work out for me to say that they're in one of my favorites right now. But this is my list of top 10 favorites to win the NBA title for this upcoming season in the NBA. It's going to be a great year. Can the Nuggets repeat? We will definitely see. But be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that great stuff, turn on notifications. We'll be back with more great stuff. And this has been Sports Talk with Austin. Peace out.